It was great that it made a lot of sense, and we've moved up to the trunk, and the energy, you can feel that energy has changed. The feedback really helps me understand where people are on the process, and I can change and adapt based on what people are saying. So today I'm going to work on your point of power. Okay, really incredible place. It's obviously in your trunk, in your body. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But first of all, I want to talk about the world, the landscape that you live in. Okay, the world around us all. So the best way to describe it is, it's kind of based on what Carl Jung was saying, which is we have this independent ego. Really important that you create an independent ego. I know the ego gets a lot of bad press, but actually it's really important that you form an independent structure, an independent ego. And that sits on top of and makes sense of the 95% unconscious, as we were talking about, that we saw on the iceberg. Okay? So that ego sits on, you're sitting on top of your unconscious, like that little tip of the iceberg, yeah? But you're also, that ego is in between the collective unconscious, okay? So that 95%, the whole world is an aggregate of all the individuals. So where you're 95% unconscious, all those individuals added together means that the world, is 95% unconscious as humans. So your ego is sitting in the middle of all the things that are happening in your own unconscious and all the things that are happening in the collective unconscious. And it's trying to make sense of it all, right? Now, so what happens is, if we look at in the world and how this 95% unconscious plays out, it plays out in bias. Okay, so even things that we think aren't, they're objective, they're not biased. So like data or algorithms, they've all been found to be biased. Because if you're picking data, you're picking some data and not other data, and that choice is based on your unconscious bias. So you'll pick some pieces of data, not other pieces of data. You've already put a bias in there. Algorithms, again, were shown because the algorithms are created by humans, and the humans put their bias onto the algorithm. The algorithm isn't this totally separate objective thing. It's created by humans. And so, in research, they found judges making decisions based on biased algorithms, where the algorithm was putting weightings on certain types of data, totally biased. So we're putting this unconscious, our unconscious, onto things. The same with economists. Economic models were discovered to be biased. The economists who created them from their unconscious. And put the biases into the models, and they thought that these models were pure economics. They weren't. They were totally skewed and distorted by the economist's own bias. All these are being researched. So the world that we see around us is not like, it's all that unconscious bias that we're seeing. Same as in our thoughts, our unconscious is there, our doubts, our fears, all that comes up. So an interesting bit of research actually really, for me, pinpointed how that unconscious gets in. So if you take when we make a decision, we have what's called a decision stream. Okay, so this is a decision stream, and we're going to make a decision. Okay, So what happens in the stream, if you take it like a little stream of water, what happens in the stream is our emotions get in first. So emotions get in first. And then second, we have cognitive thought. So that means then we make a decision here. So by the time we get to make the decision in our decision stream, our emotions have literally clouded our whole decision stream. So the thoughts, our cognitive thoughts, are totally clouded by the emotions that come in. And then when we get to make the decision, we think we're making it an objective decision, but it's actually all biased on these front-loaded emotions. And this is widely known. So if you take it in social media, anguish is one of the things that gets more likes, okay? Because it's an emotion. So you see a visual or an image causes anguish, and then you have cognitive thoughts based on that feeling of anguish. So there's more shares on visuals that have anguish, and then the algorithm just goes, we want more shares. How do we get more shares? We show more visuals that trigger more anguish, and everybody then shares these visuals based on anguish. So social media is using the emotions, using this decisions stream to trigger more likes and to get more activity, more engagement. Shame is the other thing. Shame is used again. It's an emotion. So it can be used before we get actual before we begin to kind of cognitively think. The emotions come in, and then by the time we get to a decision, it's all clouded. It's all clouded for us. So we're sitting here. We think what I'm talking about is interesting, but to be able to come out of all of this into your own body and your own truth and find your own point of power in all of this is where I'm saying it saves you time, energy, and money. Because all of this, based on emotions, based on the unconscious and all, is going to waste huge amounts of resources, huge amounts of your time, stress, anxiety, all these things that you do not need to be involved in. You need to come back to your truth. So it's your little place in the middle amongst all of this unconscious, the unconscious, collective unconscious, what's going on. 95% of it is all unconscious, and 5% in there in the collective. 5% again, 5% of the collective will be conscious, but 5% is tiny. 95% of all that we see that's going on is unconscious. And we're stuck in the middle, and then we've got to deal with all our own unconscious as well. So how do we do that? How do we unplug from all of that? Yesterday's breath was the first start of it, where you're coming back into your body, and I've got feedback from people to say, even that, the relaxation, the breath just bringing you down, it's all okay. Just that breath, a simple breath. So what we're going to do today is we're going to come out in the breath, and we're going to come down to what's called, it's just about an inch or two in behind your navel, called your hara. Okay? And it's a point of power. It exists in your belly, behind your navel. It's a real, and so when you're breathing, you breathe in, and your belly extends as you breathe the breath down into the hara. This is your point of power. Okay? Point of power. So it's really incredible. You come down low. It's a low place. Again, used in martial arts. To be really solid in yourself, you breathe low down. Your center of gravity. Take your center of gravity down for your energy. Take it down to your hara. It's a really gorgeous place to be. When you're in your head, if you think about it, as I said, you're 2 feet above your head, or you're in your head. your center of gravity, if you're taking the tree, your center of gravity is really high. So you can easily get knocked, or in this kind of storm of the collective unconscious and your unconscious, you're up in your head. It's very easy to get knocked around and knocked and then wonder, oh God, I don't know where I am, and it causes anxiety, stress, all these things. You just don't know where you are. You could finish the day and you're like, whew, wow, I'm glad that was over. Whereas to come down, to breathe down, come out of the collective, come out of and feel your own unconscious, come out of that into your body. And not just in your body, anywhere, but down, breathing down into your hara. And this is real black night stuff. The black night exists in the tranquility of the point of power. Doesn't waste time and all these things and all stuff that's just unconscious. Why would you do that? Stays in the 5% and expands that 5% conscious. So when you go down into your hara, you're really expanding out that 5% conscious. It's also where, the phrase fire in your belly comes from. That's your hara. This is where we're going to be working on. Come down into that place where the fire in your belly is. It's that really natural vitality that's there. Up in the head, it feels like energy, but it's not. It doesn't have that real essence, your core essence. It's a genuine, stokable fire that's there. So we're going to be looking at that as well. So this is incredible. This for me is just. It's real black night, to be just coming out of it all, and just come down into your truth, your power, your point of power in your hara. It's gold. It's real gold. So I'm going to give you a meditation to go with this video, and parts of the meditation, the first bit will have some chimes in it, and the chimes are just to kind of break out of, it's like a sound to break out of the 95 collective unconscious and just become conscious with the chimes and breathe. Yeah, and then I'll give you a meditation after the chimes. The chimes go for a minute, and then after that I'll guide you to a meditation to come breathe down into your hara. So I hope you really like this. I just feel this is so important for the world that we live in. And where we are as Black Knights, this is really important. So keep the feedback coming, and I will see you tomorrow for day 10. Ciao for now.